Be me Leo, 28 years old, working a dead-end IT job in some soulless gray cubicle farm. 5'9", 170 pounds, not ugly but not handsome. The dictionary definition of an average male. My life is a perfectly balanced shade of beige. Wake up, commute, stare at code, commute back, eat leftovers, watch some streams, sleep, rinse and repeat. The weekends are the worst part. A vast, empty desert of loneliness punctuated by the occasional text from my mother asking if I am eating enough vegetables. I tried the dating apps for a few years. Felt like I was submitting a resume to 100 different companies every single day and never hearing back. The few dates I did get were clinical, felt more like job interviews. So Leo, what are your 5-year goals? Do you have any upward mobility in your current position? My friend Jessica is dating a guy who founded his own startup. He just bought a Tesla. Cool lady. My 2012 Honda Civic has a weird smell I cannot identify. We are not the same. Most first dates were last dates. I am not bitter, just exhausted. It feels like a game where I do not know the rules and everyone else got a manual. The only consistent female presence in my life is my cousin, Isabel. Isabel is a lot. She is the same age as me, 28. She has a master's degree in gender and post-colonial studies or something equally expensive and useless. She lives in a trendy downtown apartment her parents pay for and works part-time at a non-profit that seems to mostly involve organizing protests and writing angry blogs. Every family gathering turns into an impromptu lecture series. Thanksgiving, we get a 30-minute sermon on the problematic origins of the holiday. Christmas, a detailed analysis of the patriarchal undertones of Santa Claus. My birthday, she once gave me a book on dismantling my own toxic masculinity. Thanks, Izzy, just what I wanted. She means well, I think. She sees the world as a giant, oppressive system, and she is the brave warrior fighting it. But her advice on my dating life is monumentally unhelpful. Leo, you just need to unlearn your societal programming, she would say, sipping a kombucha that smells like vinegar. Women are not objects to be acquired. You should focus on your own emotional growth, and a partner will manifest when you are ready. I have been emotionally growing for a decade. My emotions have grown into a giant, lonely redwood tree. The turning point came last autumn. It was a Friday night. I was scrolling through social media, a special kind of self-inflicted torture. Pictures of old high school friends getting married, college buddies posting baby pictures. Even my nerdy friend David, who used to spend weekends building Gundam models with me, had a beautiful girlfriend he met at a board game cafe. I felt a profound, crushing wave of despair wash over me. This was it. This was my life, an endless cycle of quiet desperation. I closed the apps and opened an anonymous browser. I do not know what I was looking for, maybe just an escape. I ended up on a forum, a thread about international travel. A guy was posting about his trip to Poland. He was a lot like me. Average job, average looks, felt invisible in his own country. He talked about the culture, the history, the food, and the women. He was not being gross or objectifying. He just described them as different, traditional in a way, but also educated and modern, family-oriented, kind. He posted a picture of himself with his new Polish girlfriend. She was beautiful, radiant even, but it was not just her looks. It was the way she looked at him with genuine warmth and affection. He looked happy, truly, deeply happy, a feeling I had not felt in years. A little seed was planted in my brain that night. I spent the next 2 months in a deep dive of research. I read everything I could about Poland, Krakow, Warsaw, Gdansk. I started learning basic Polish phrases on a language app. Dzień dobry, dziewięć. It felt silly at first, like a daydream, but the more I learned, the more real it became. This was not some seedy mail-order bride scheme. This was about going to a place where the culture was different, where the values I held, loyalty, family, simple companionship, were not seen as outdated or boring. I saved up my money, requested 2 weeks of vacation time, and booked a flight to Krakow. I did not tell anyone my real reason for going. Just a solo trip, I told my parents. Want to see some history. The hardest person to tell was Isabel. We had our monthly cousin catch-up, which was her idea. It was usually just me listening to her complain about the patriarchy for an hour over overpriced coffee. So, big news, I said, trying to sound casual. I am going on a vacation. Oh, that's great, Leo, she said, her eyes lighting up. Self-care is so important. Are you going to that meditation retreat in Vermont? No, I am going to Poland. Her smile froze. It was like a software crash in real time. Poland, she repeated as if I had said Mordor. Why Poland? I have always been interested in Eastern European history, I lied badly. She narrowed her eyes. She had a built-in radar for anything she deemed problematic. That is a little random, Leo. Is there another reason? I knew I could not tell her the truth. She would turn it into a federal case. Nope, just history and pierogi. She did not look convinced. For the rest of the coffee, she kept making little passive-aggressive comments. I hope you are aware of the rise of right-wing nationalism in that region. Make sure you respect the local women and do not engage in exploitative tourism. I just nodded and sipped my coffee. The day of the flight, I was a nervous wreck. What am I doing? This is insane. I am flying halfway across the world based on a forum post. But as the plane took off, a strange sense of calm settled over me. For the first time in my life, I was doing something completely for myself, a leap of faith. Krakow was magical, the old town square, the wall castle, the smell of roasted chestnuts in the air. It felt like stepping into a fairy tale. I spent the first few days just being a tourist. I was shy, awkward, I kept to myself. I had a dating app profile set up, but I was too scared to even open it. My internal monologue was a constant stream of self-doubt. You are an idiot. No one here is going to be interested in you. Go home. On my fourth day, I forced myself to go to a language exchange event I found online. It was in a cozy little cafe in the Jewish quarter. My heart was pounding out of my chest as I walked in, and that is where I saw her. Her name was Elena. She was sitting at a table with a few other people, laughing at something someone said. She was not a supermodel, but she was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Long, dark hair, intelligent brown eyes that crinkled when she smiled, and a smile that could power a small city. I almost turned around and left. No way, she is out of my league, but then she looked up and our eyes met. She gave me a small, encouraging smile. My feet moved on their own. Cześć, I mumbled, the one Polish greeting I had mastered. Is this seat taken? Hello, she replied in perfect, slightly accented English. No, please sit. We talked for 3 hours straight. It was effortless. She was a graphic designer, smart and funny. She had a passion for art history and loved classic American movies. She asked me about my life, my job, my family. She actually listened. Her eyes never glazed over. She was genuinely curious. I felt something I had not felt on a date in a very, very long time, comfortable. I felt seen. I walked her home that night under the gas lamps of the old city. I was a nervous mess, but I asked her if she would like to get dinner the next day. I would love that, Leo, she said, and my heart did a backflip. The next 10 days were a blur. We were inseparable. We explored the city, went to museums, had long dinners where we talked about everything and nothing. I learned that she was close with her family, that she dreamed of opening her own design studio one day, that she had a wicked sense of humor. She was kind, compassionate, and had zero cynicism. It was completely disarming. On my last night, we were walking along the Vistula River. The reality of my departure was hitting me like a ton of bricks. I do not want to go home, I said, the words catching in my throat. Then do not, she said softly, squeezing my hand. I have to, my job, my life, it is all back there. But is it a life that makes you happy, she asked. That question hit me hard. No, it was not. Before I left for the airport the next morning, we had a difficult conversation. We both knew this was more than just a holiday romance. Let's try, I said. Long distance, we can video call every day. I will come back as soon as I can. She agreed, tears in her eyes. The flight back to the United States was the most depressing experience of my life. I was leaving a world of color and returning to my beige existence. But now I had a reason to endure it. I had Elena. We fell into a routine. We would talk for hours every day. We would watch movies together on our laptops, thousands of miles apart. It was hard, but our connection only grew stronger. I was saving every penny I could to go back. Meanwhile, the Isabel situation was escalating. She must have had some kind of private investigator training. She found Elena on my social media. The interrogation started via text. Who is this Elena person, Leo? You seem to be spending a lot of time talking to her. She is a friend I made in Poland. A friend. It looks like more than that. You need to be careful, Leo. Then came the phone calls to my mother. My mom called me worried. Isabel says you met a woman online and she is just trying to get a green card. Mom, that is not true. I met her in person. She is a wonderful person. Well, Isabel is very concerned. She says these foreign women target lonely American men. My blood started to boil, target, like I was some kind of helpless prey. The next family dinner was a war zone. I knew it was coming. Isabel had her battle face on. She waited until everyone was seated. So, Leo, she began, her voice dripping with faux concern. How is your pen pal? Her name is Elena and she is my girlfriend, I said, my voice steady. Girlfriend, that is a strong word for someone you have known for a few weeks and who lives on the other side of the planet. It has been 3 months, actually. Look, I am just worried about you, she said, looking around the table for support. There are so many scams out there. These women are raised in poverty and they see American men as a meal ticket. It is a form of patriarchal exploitation, I snapped. Exploitation, do you even know her? Have you spoken one word to her? I do not have to. I have studied the dynamics of global. You have studied books, Isabel. You live in a bubble funded by mom and dad and think you know everything about the world. Elena has a degree, a career, a loving family. She is more independent than you will ever be. The table went silent. My parents looked like they wanted to crawl under their chairs. Isabel's face went pale, then red. How dare you? I am just trying to protect you from making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was listening to your bitter, cynical view of the world for so long, I said, standing up. I am done. I walked out. That was the last time I spoke to her for a long time. 6 months after my first trip, I flew back to Krakow. The moment I saw Elena at the airport, I knew I was going to marry her. The 2 weeks I spent there were even better than the first time. Our connection was real, it was solid. On our last night in the same spot by the river where we had said our first goodbye, I got down on one knee. I had a simple ring, my hands were shaking. Elena, I started, my voice trembling. You have changed my life, you have shown me what happiness is. Will you marry me? She was crying, but she was smiling that radiant smile. Tack Leo. Yes, now came the hard part, the K-1 visa, the fiancé visa. It is a mountain of paperwork, a bureaucratic nightmare designed to test the limits of your sanity and your love. We had to prove our relationship was bona fide. We submitted everything. Photos, flight records, chat logs, letters from family and friends. It felt invasive, like we had to justify our love to a faceless government entity. The process dragged on for months. It was stressful. There were days when we both felt like giving up. The distance was harder than ever. I missed her so much it was a physical ache. During this time, Isabel was on a full-scale propaganda campaign. She would send informative articles to my family members about romance scams and human trafficking. She posted vague, sanctimonious statuses on social media about problematic international relationships. My parents were wavering. Her constant negativity was getting to them. I had to sit them down. Look, I said, showing them photos of me and Elena, showing them the loving messages she sent me every day. This is real. She makes me happy. Can you not just be happy for me? My dad, who is usually a quiet man, finally spoke up. Son, if she makes you happy, that is all that matters. Isabel needs to mind her own business. That was a major victory. Finally, after nearly a year of waiting, we got the email. Elena's visa was approved. She had her interview at the embassy in Warsaw. She passed with flying colors. I booked her a one-way ticket. I will never forget the day I picked her up from the airport. I was waiting at the international arrivals gate, my hands sweating, my heart doing a drum solo. And then I saw her. She walked through the doors, pulling her suitcase, looking a little scared but so beautiful. I ran to her. We just held each other for what felt like an eternity, right there in the middle of the airport. The beige was gone. My life was finally in full color. Elena's adjustment to America was smoother than I expected. Her English was great and she was fascinated by everything. Even a trip to the grocery store was an adventure for her. My friends loved her, they saw how happy I was. Dude, you are like a different person, my friend Mark told me. I have never seen you smile this much. The real test I knew would be the family. We planned a small get-together at my parents' house so everyone could meet Elena. I specifically told my mom not to invite Isabel, but of course she showed up anyway. I heard you had a guest, she said, breezing in like she owned the place. I could not miss the opportunity to welcome her to the country. The air in the room instantly dropped 20 degrees. Elena, to her credit, was polite and gracious. She extended her hand. It is so nice to finally meet you, Isabel. Leo has told me about you. Isabel looked at her hand like it was a dead fish but shook it briefly. The rest of the evening was an exercise in extreme tension. Isabel positioned herself like a prosecutor. She asked Elena a series of probing, condescending questions. So, what do you think of American consumerism? It must be quite a culture shock. It is different, but I am enjoying learning about it, Elena replied sweetly. Was it difficult to leave your family behind? I imagine the economic opportunities here are quite tempting. Each question was a loaded bomb designed to paint Elena as a naive gold digger. But Elena handled it all with a grace and intelligence that left Isabel sputtering. She talked about her career, her love for Polish literature, her family traditions. She was charming, witty, and completely genuine. I could see the rest of my family falling in love with her. My aunts were asking her for recipes, my uncle was talking to her about history. This was making Isabel furious. Her narrative was falling apart. Elena was not the oppressed victim she wanted her to be. She was a strong, confident woman. The final straw was when my grandmother, a tiny, sweet old lady, took Elena's hand. You have a good heart, dear, my grandma said. And you make my Leo so happy. Welcome to the family. Elena teared up and hugged her. Isabel looked like her head was going to explode. She stood up, her face a mask of rage. I cannot believe you are all falling for this, she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at Elena. The room went dead silent. This is a textbook case, an emotionally vulnerable average American male, a beautiful woman from a less developed country. It is a transactional relationship based on patriarchal power imbalances. She turned to me. Can you not see it, Leo? She does not love you. She loves what you can give her. A visa, a new life, access to Western privilege. You are being used. I stood up, my own anger surging. But before I could speak, Elena did. She stepped forward, her back straight, her eyes clear. She looked directly at Isabel, her voice calm but firm. Isabel, I did not come to this country for privilege. I came for love. I had a good life in Poland. I have a loving family, good friends, a career I was proud of. It was not a perfect life, but it was mine. Leaving it was the hardest thing I have ever done. She took my hand. I did not fall in love with an American male. I fell in love with Leo, with his kindness, his humor, his gentle heart. He is a good man. Something you clearly cannot recognize because you do not see people. You only see categories. You see oppressors and victims. She looked around at my family. I am sorry that my happiness makes you so angry. But your bitterness will not destroy it. Then she turned back to Isabel, her voice dropping to an almost whisper. I truly feel sorry for you. You have so much, and yet you seem so unhappy. I hope one day you find a love that is as real as ours, then maybe you will understand. There was a stunned silence. Isabel stood there, her mouth open, her face completely white. She had been so thoroughly, so elegantly dismantled. She had no response. No academic theory could counter that raw human honesty. She grabbed her purse, shot me a look of pure hatred, and stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. The silence lasted for a moment longer, and then my dad started to clap. Slowly, everyone else joined in. My mom hugged Elena, crying, "We are so lucky to have you." That night, I knew everything was going to be okay. Elena and I got married 2 months later as required by the visa. It was a small ceremony at the courthouse with just my parents and a few close friends. Elena wore a simple white dress. She was the most beautiful bride in the world. As we said our vows, I looked at her and saw my future, a future filled with love, laughter, and pierogi. It has been 3 years since that day. Our life is not a fairy tale, it is real. We have disagreements, we have financial stress, we have all the normal challenges of a married couple, but we have each other. Elena got her work permit and found an amazing job at a top design firm. She is more talented than they even know. We bought a small house with a little backyard for a garden. She is teaching me Polish. I am still terrible at it, but she laughs at my attempts. My family adores her. She is the daughter my mother always wanted. I am not the same person I was. That lonely beige man is gone. Elena's love gave me confidence. I started taking on more responsibilities at work, got a promotion, and am now leading a team. I am happy, genuinely, deeply happy. As for Isabel, we have not spoken since that day. She is no longer invited to family gatherings. From what I hear, she is still the same. Still single, still angry, still posting long rants on the internet about injustice. A few months ago, my mom sent me a screenshot of one of her posts. It was a bitter tirade about men who outsource their dating lives to escape from empowered Western women. I looked at the post, then I looked across the living room at my beautiful wife, who was curled up on the sofa, sketching in her notebook and humming a Polish folk song. I just smiled. She can stay in her world of theories and bitterness. I will stay here in the real world with my beautiful wife in the life we built together. Sometimes the biggest risk you can take is to ignore the cynics and follow your heart. It might just lead you home.